Hi everyone. Hi, it's okay to be not okay fans. Hello, welcome to my channel. All right. So why do we love this TV series? Why were we excited? Why were we angry? Why were we sad? Why did we cry? Yes. So this is an analysis of their relationship. Mun-Yeong and Gang Tae's relationship. Exciting, right? I love them. All right. And yeah, I can't stop talking about it, and I'd like to share with you my insights from a therapist or from a relationship coach's perspective. All right. After coaching hundreds of people, I'm thinking of sharing my thoughts about it. Maybe there's something you can pick up along the way for your own self-reflection. It won't hurt to know about yourself alongside this discussion, right? Okay, I am Celeste Carrilo. I'm a relationship coach, and yes, hopefully you can stay with me through this discussion, and let's have fun. Let's cry all over again. Let's recall the beautiful scenes together and learn about ourselves at the same time. First of all, I love the show. I can't deny it. I can't stop talking about I couldn't stop talking about it. What's there not to love? There's the fashion and the porcelain face. The thought provoking fairy tales, Beauty and the Beast, the ugly duckling, talking about society. And yes, there's the acting of Sang Tai. They're great actors, even Gang Tae and even Mun-Yeong. But Sang Tai was phenomenal, I think. I hope he would get nominated for this. And his character is amazing. I applaud the writers for giving him such a a very amazing storyline. All right, and so yes, what else? The music. My God, who can who can compete with the music? And the lines, my God, obsession is both noble and beautiful. Wow. All right, and yes, of course, that that the directors, everybody, the creators, just really stretched all the audience for that long-awaited kiss. Why do Korean dramas do this? I mean, sometimes they're just really simple meetings that would really call for some affection. They haven't seen or each other for a long time, or there's danger, and yet they couldn't even hug. I think it was worth the wait in the end. So anyway, I'm going to begin this analysis with a little about the characters. Okay, there is Mun-Yeong. All right, this is a very successful writer of fairy tales, and her character began with a very yes, she was afraid of it was my say. She could take anything she wanted. It was my rules. She was a leader of her own, and she was drumming at her own beat. She had her own style. She was. She just causes this tremor to everybody in the way that she wants, and also in the way that she writes. Okay, and also she's a loner. Okay, also she's objective, very unemotional. You cannot influence her with emotions. If you feel helpless or victimized, it's just not working for her. All right, and she's daring. She says what she thinks, especially at the time where there was this this author signature writing for her new book that was being released, and yeah, she stood up because everybody, instead of something happening to Sang Tai, she stood up because, they disrupted her event. All right. And yes, she was also very unafraid. All right. She was not needing to please people. You can't threaten her because she never loses her power, you know? And I think it's very relatable because we, in times of our lives, or maybe in general, we never really have the freedom to say what we want. Sometimes we hope we could be this big person in in our lives, or we wish we could just take the course that we want, or we could break up with somebody without having to feel responsible in a way, or to say what we mean, to be our own, our own, follow our own gender preference, or follow our own, break out of our religion if we feel like it, but sometimes we feel trapped, and we are not as liberated as she to just choose to do what we want in our lives. So Mun-Yeong steers that in us. We know, it she reminds us of what we hope to be. We may not agree most of the time, but maybe we envy her power. We envy her independence. We envy her, just being herself. Not compromising her needs, her wants, her her dreams. No one is going to get in my way because, I'll beat you to it. Gang Tae begins as one who is very thoughtful. He thinks a lot. He he's very decent, very mannered, in a way, very restrained. All right, so he's restrained, and also he would do what is right. He would do what is what is expected, or what he thinks is right to be done, like helping Sangtai, and yes, doing exactly what should be done. If people need help, well, you help. It's like it's so automatic for him. Also, he's very careful, not impulsive. Remember the, count 1, 2, 3 before you think of something. Think of doing something. And this is actually the part when it was Mun-Young's birthday, and he said count 1, 2, 3, and then, before you say anything, and they were on the bed, and on the third, it was the long awaited kiss. It's like, oh my god, is that what you had wanted to do all along for her birthday? Wow. But anyway, so he's very careful. He thinks before he acts, in a way. All right. And also, last of all, he would do what is right, in spite of how he feels. He in a way, he if you like him, you love him, you hate him, it may be about you, maybe regretting the times when you went after something, making a mistake because you didn't think about it long enough. You didn't evaluate. You didn't consider all these factors. You didn't think of the consequences of your actions. And so maybe you admire him or you could relate to him. Maybe you feel sorry even because he's such a, a good, ideal guy. He's good looking and you can count on him. And he was actually, very strong even. He could block punches.
이 여자가 진짜 함부로 잡지 말지.
He's a red belter, by the way. All right, and he could catch people who was Mr. Lee, the director, when he was going to fall off the stairs. There were a lot of that falling off and catching. But anyway, so. We maybe we like him because he's an epitome of strength, of physical strength, like a hero. A hero, someone you can expect to be there, expect to do the right thing. And maybe we love him or we hate him sometimes because, yeah, sometimes we wish we could always do the right thing. All right, but of course there were times when me especially, I felt it was overdone. He thought too long, too restrained as well. That's when I didn't actually like him. It was like he was being okay and then suddenly he would back out. All right, a lot of overthinking happening. His sense of duty was so ingrained with him. After all, what did his mom tell him? I gave birth to you to take care of Sangtai. All right, so he has been enslaved by his sense of duty. All right, and yes, so let's to talk about there. All right, so let's begin with the three stages of their relationship. If you're hearing something else here, it has just rained, and yes, those are actually big frogs croaking after the rain. So, yes, they're happy to hear me, I guess. The first stage, the attraction. Okay, commonly, attraction happens when we meet somebody and we pay attention all of a sudden. Like, who is this person who has caught my attention? Why is this sudden interest in them? Right? Like, it's like you don't see anyone else or you don't want to know anyone else in the room but them. When there's this attraction, sometimes for other people it's like you've been blind and suddenly you could see. All this time you've been blind and now you could see. Or there's this line from Sleepless in Seattle, like, you have gone home to a place, to a home you've never known. All right, so that is the attraction stage. But for them, it actually happened with some kind of tension. This happened, the first meetings were the time when Gang Tae was telling Mun-Yeong to put off her cigarette in the hospital, and she was stubborn about it. It was the first time she actually talked about destiny, soulmate connection for some people. But for Mun-Yeong, the eye-to-eye contact with him was more of curiosity. There was mystery. There was this exciting curiosity, an exciting adventure. Like, why do I know you from someplace? Why does it feel like she was looking for a clue that would give her, that it would explain the familiarity of Gang Tae. It was exciting, it was mysterious, and she was searching, her eyes was looking so far beyond, the eyeballs, and searching for answers while she was looking at him. But for Gang Tae, it was different, He was suddenly on guard, maybe, he knew that he knew Mun-Yeong in the first place, but there was this defense mechanism with him. It was his autopilot that when he didn't know, or when he was unsure about something, he would be on guard. His alarm went off. Hey, there's this signal in him saying, there's a threat, okay? Be on guard. You can't trust her. There was this skepticism about him, and that was his autopilot. That was what he was used to. So with Mun-Yeong, all right, maybe we love her, we cheer for her, we like her, we hate her, but during that attraction stage, maybe we could relate to her because somehow, we wanted to be seen, or we wanted to be known, or we want somebody to know us, to see us, in an exclusive way. We want this kind of attraction for us to happen to us because, it makes us feel like we are special. The second stage is the earthquake stage. This is what I call it. All right, the earthquake stage. This is the stage where we feel like there's the tug of war in our emotions. There is this earthquake. We're being rocked, we're being shaken, or we're being awoken from our slumber. It's like we meet somebody and it's like they threaten us to change our ways, and it's powerful. It's happening so powerful. It's like, you have silence from many people, especially for Gang Tae. Everybody agreed with him, and everybody thought that he was, very dependable and very decent, and then suddenly somebody tells him that he's not, somebody implies that he's not. He's in fact a hypocrite, as Mun-Yeong would say it. During this stage, to Gang Tae, Mun-Yeong was like a devil actually whispering in his ears. She was a challenge. She was a storm. She was a tornado that was happening to him energetically, mostly. She wasn't really doing so much. She was just being herself. She wasn't hurting him at all. But, emotionally, he was having this, internal tornado inside of him. But this is about his shadows, all right? Are shadows are the thoughts, the secret, the memories, or our tendencies that we want to keep in the dark. All right, those are our shadows. For example, in Gang Tae's case, he wants to do what is right all the time, not wanting to have fun, not relaxing sometimes. He feels guilty for that. And internally, he also wants to have fun. He wants to, he wants to be irresponsible. And those are the things that he wants to keep in the dark, because he wanted to be responsible, because he thought, there are consequences if he didn't appear at the right time, when actually there were people to help them, right? There were people. Sometimes we do things unnecessarily. We burden ourselves unnecessarily. Sometimes we can actually ask for help. He had a best friend who was there all the time, who was there to make him laugh. So it wasn't really dark as he had seen his life. And it showed actually in the end that that he was atoning for his sins, for wanting Sang Tae to die in the river. Remember that? So it was like he just couldn't forgive himself. These and emotions are natural. They're organic. There's nothing right or wrong or bad and good about our emotion. And he felt unloved. And sometimes with our anger, we think, we think differently. But that doesn't make us a bad person. But it seems that he was persecuting himself, heal. And it happens to us, right? When, we think we were wrong or bad to have thought or done or felt something in the past, Sometimes we wish somebody, would trip. Or, we want revenge. Sometimes we don't do it, but sometimes these come into our mind, and these are our shadows. And in therapy, it is about learning to embrace our shadows, not to hide them and deny that we have those feelings.
나 그냥 너랑 놀까?
The second stage also shows how Gang Tae is so close to love. He even said in one time that Sang Tae, his brother, was already a handful.
형 하나도 충분해. 충분히 버거워.
All right, so it seems to him that love and relationships are so difficult. They're burdensome, and that needs healing as well, because there are relationships that actually feel good. They're not perfect, but they're not, they're not burdensome. There's romance, there's the warmth, there are benefits, there are perks, someone to kiss, someone to hug when you're lonely, someone to just play. So the second stage, the earthquake stage, is for Gang Tae to see, to see the different facets of relationship other than just burdensome. And sometimes we have that too, sometimes we'd rather be alone. We'd rather be independent and not needing people because, they mess up our minds. We're having, or we can't get to achieve what we have to achieve. They are disturbances. They bother us. The second stage also includes where there is this raging emotions. This is when the earthquake really becomes uncontrollable. For Gang Tae, he was jealous. He became so jealous. There was this monster happening inside of him when there was this guy who wanted to have a photo with Mun-Yeong, and he was crazy jealous, right? And also, after that, there was this patient with a husband, alcoholic husband, and he slapped Mun-Yeong for standing in the way of their fight. And then what's this? And then Gang Tae came and punched, and he was so angry. He hardly could stop himself from, smashing the face of this person. And funnily enough, when he was fired, or he was suspended because of it, he was smiling.
그동안 월급도 한 푼 안 나올 거고 조만간 고소장도 날라올 거래. 완전 다 엉망진창이야.
Because there was this liberation. This was the time when he embraced his shadow. It was, um, it was, it was a cathartic time for him, because he would have judged himself to be a bad person for wanting to punch somebody's face, you know. But this time, he 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 was able to forgive himself from wanting to do harm, even if it was against his nature to do harm, only because he was falling for someone. He was falling in love with Mun-Yeong, and he didn't want anything to hurt the love of his life. All right, so that is the second stage, the tug of war. When what happened was all his emotions, his love, all that was locked inside of him, all his wishes, all his need for love, need for affection, need for embrace, need for fun, need for happiness, everything suddenly burst out of him. It was a dam, the dam of all his wishes and dreams and, and needs were suddenly let go. They were released. And so there was this rage, he was erupting. He erupted. And that, and with the eruption came the liberation. He liberated himself from from the enslavement of doing always what's right. So for Gang Tae, there was this tug of war happening, with a tornado happening. Will he release? Will he finally give in? Will he forgive himself? And for us, sometimes we go through moments in our lives when we recognize that, that little devil in us, when we recall that there were things we cannot forgive about ourselves, emotions or thoughts that we have judged to be wrong or right or good or bad. And maybe as you were watching, you recognize, hey, it's been a long time ago. You can forgive yourself. You were a kid. All those comforting things. Those are things you can also tell yourself in the moments when you are judging yourself to be a bad person or an evil person. Just something for you as you go through your days or your life. All right. And for this stage, the second stage, which is the earthquake stage, okay, Gang Tae is concluding this with a scene where he actually gave flowers to Mun-Yeong. And yes, finally, there was this kiss, this peck on the lips, and it was like, yes, we were all applauding, right? And I was applauding with you, because finally, The third stage is the awakening stage. The awakening stage is where we actually dare ourselves to cross our own line.
하루가 모자라지고 또 쉬었다 다시 생각해 너와 함께한 순간 그 모든 거 하나
All right. So this is when we actually step, over our boundaries, our own judgments. We defy our own judgments. In this case of Gang Tae, there was this time, although this was earlier on, when he asked Mun-Yeong that he wanted to have fun during the politician's son's outburst. Yes, but he retracted. And then there was another when he said, when he was so judgmental of Mun-Yeong, and then during a rainfall, there was this epiphany in him, and he fetched Mun-Yeong in the rain while she was alone and she was crying, and there was no one for her after her father in the hospital choked her, strangled her in the hospital. So those were awakening moments, but they were temporary. But after the giving of flowers, that cute little scene, he began to really dare himself um, to to check his thinking patterns, to check his thoughts. That was the time when he was already smiling, and after that, I think that was the 10th episode, 11th episode, where he was smiling more often, and he was having fun making breakfast, and he was playing with them, and smiling more to Mun-Yeong, especially during the time when Mun-Yeong lent him a car after he had cut her hair. Both of them had that epiphany with them. Mun-Yeong finally being free of her mom's influence and voice, and Gang Tae really stepping up this time and forgiving himself and moving on from his fears and from his own self-persecution. All right, so that is the awakening stage. As for Mun-Yeong, her challenge was really for her to need people, to need people for warmth, for company. During the first breakfast at the castle, Mun-Yeong really appreciated having people in her house. She started inviting friends, jury, and going to other people's house. The mom of jury, inviting her for lunch or dinner at her house, the mom's house, and she accepted. She finally, opened up to people, having people, because in the beginning, remember, she ate by herself. All right, so that was the journey of Mun-Yeong, trying to open up to people, needing people.
둘다 안 와? 분명 문강태 둘다 빨리 안 와?
While Gang Tae was his own self-judgments, because he always wanted to do what was right. Okay, and yes, it continues, especially in episode 11, when Mun-Yeong said he wanted to have an older brother, and he called Sang Tae, because Sang Tae wanted to take care of his little brother, younger brother. He was the one, Sang-tae was the one calling him and knowing whether he has eaten, and then he treated him for dinner at a restaurant. Right? So Sang-tae was also stepping up. Gang Tae allowed his brother to take care of him this time. You know, suddenly he realized that maybe he also needs help. He also needs people to take care of him, and not always just one way. That there were people knew how to take care of people. You know, Sang-tae was actually capable, and he was actually very talented, even, right? And you know, he thought he would have to take care of him forever, without realizing, more on without giving really Sang-tae a chance to prove himself, you know. And of course there was this climactic event where Sang-tae was having his outburst and telling Gang Tae, I don't belong to you, I belong to me. And you know, you wanted me to die before, and that was scary for Gang Tae. But you know, eventually he was able to forgive himself, and yes, move on, and allowed people to take care of him once in a while. And yes, having just a beautiful life with a beautiful girlfriend in a beautiful house. All right, so that is my perspective as a therapist. I hope that has given you insights to relationships and to yourself as well. I'm perspiring a lot right now. so so yes, I hope I deserve a like, subscribe, comment, or share in from these videos. Can I count on you on that? All right, so anyway, let me know what you think. If there is anything else you would like me to discuss, I'd be happy to take your suggestions. All right, so till then, I hope that this has helped, and yes, I hope to see you again. Bye.